coverage is finally broken down by Nicholas King to Isaac Whitney.
I think the difference is with your offensive production, the Mounties have ran the ball with their running backs 20 times for 80 yards. 20 for 80. That's 4 yards a pop, moving the chains. Meanwhile, Riverside with their running backs have only run the ball 6 times for a combined 24 yards.
Boy.
That is 4 yards a pop as well, but you're not giving your running backs a chance. The running game has been solid, but just too few of opportunities, and that really was the Achilles heel for the Tigers in their Week 3 loss to Grossmont. I really hope for Riverside's sake that we don't see a repeat performance with that play calling in the first half of this game as well.
We probably won't. This one means just so much more. But another thing I want to bring up, it's the costly penalties. Despite only 5 for 29 yards, it's when they have occurred. And it seems like they occur when they're not supposed to. I mean, hey, you're sustaining a drive. You're going down the field, and then bang, all of a sudden a false start is thrown in there, and it just destroys your momentum. So it's those type of things that need to be cleaned up immediately.
5 penalties for 29 yards for the Tigers on the offensive end in that first half. That really was the difference. But the interceptions did keep it close. I thought the play of the day, I don't know if if a lot of guys will call this to be the turn of events, if you will, but the Tigers were trailing 7-3 early on in the second quarter. Then Trayvon Watson, safety for Riverside, had an interception, weaved his way across midfield and reached the Mounties 10 before the ball was poked out of his arms and recovered by Mount SAC. And that led to a 50-yard drive that did stall. They ended up punting it away anyways, but that flip field position, and that really was the needle that popped the air out of the Tigers' balloon. Now that momentum was stopped, and the Mounties turned that one into another 10-point run, and they lead 17-10 at the break.
Boy, this is going to be one heck of a second half. 30 more minutes to see who is number 1 in the state.
And what's on the line is if you win, you're basically into the postseason.
Right.
If you lose, then there is a very high likelihood that you will miss the postseason. If Riverside loses, they'll have to, it's really a win or go home next week against Long Beach in their place, and the Vikings are coming off of a bye and coming off of an emotional loss. They have 14 days to prepare for Riverside, so really this is about as winnable of a game as any, as you're here at home, a 27-0 win streak for the Tigers in Wheelock, and this is in your grasp. I think there's no shame for the Mounties in losing this ball game, but for Riverside, I think it would be about as disappointing as any loss that they could have this season, even the Grossmont loss.
So true, and the only reason is that winning streak at home will be snapped. That'll mean so much more to RCC than it does to the Mounties. And the Mounties have put together such an impressive game plan tonight. Despite 2 interceptions, they still trust Justin Allo. I mean, they continuously allow him to get that ball downfield.
Thank you all for joining us here. We are simulcast on Spreaker.com and Livestream.com here on the National Sports Radio station. Make sure to follow SBJ on Twitter, St. John Bosco on Extreme Action Sports on Livestream.com to go along with YouTube, and look for the Mount SAC versus Riverside and hit the follow button there. And we are just about ready to return to second half action as the kick will be made by Alberto Villarreal. He approaches and sends this one underway. We will begin the second half with Davis standing at his own end zone. Takes it out to the 5, 10, zigzags 20. He had a return last time, and Davis is loose. 40 across midfield, looking for a touchdown. One man to beat, and he's tripped up at the 26-yard line. If you can't get it done offensively, if the defense can't keep the ball in their hands, how about special teams bailing out the Tigers in the third?
Special teams acting like the perfect teammate, helping out this RCC defense and this RCC offense. Perfect way to start the second half.
What makes a championship team able to win games like this is their ability to all 3 phases. When one is struggling, the other picks it up. RCC was able to make the playoffs last year when the defense was struggling. Skylar Howard in the offense picked it up. Now Nicholas King with his second best field position of the day. They had a 1st and 10 at the 24, which led to the field goal in the first quarter. Now from the 25 goes King in the offense. A flag flies as Denzel Foster will scurry for a loss of 1. We'll check the penalty, though, and it looks like it will be a false start against the offense. Peculiar that they let the entire play run before they call the penalty, but nevertheless, the Tigers again flagged for another infraction. 6 penalties, 34 yards for Riverside.
Yeah, and we talked about it. Hey, it's only 34 yards, but it's when it's occurring right here at the start of this first half, at the start of this first possession here. Nicholas King needs help, and that offensive line better fix that situation of these false starts continuously having to happen.
Yeah, you do mention, you bring up an interesting point. It's when the Tigers are near the red zone. They're in scoring position when these penalties start to become a factor. 1st and 15 now from their own 30. Delay handoff to Foster. 30 outside of the 25 and on a hop reaches around the 24 before a scurry of Mount SAC Mounties. Naked 7 brown helmets are able to bring him down at the 25. A gain of 5, bring the penalty yardage back. 2nd and 10.
2nd and 10 type of a situation. Whole playbook's open right here. Expect something maybe towards the end zone here.
Denzel Foster, only his 6th carry today for 19 yards. That'll be 3 yards a pop, far under his season average of 6.0 yards per carry and 2 rushing touchdowns. 13:57 to go here. Tigers trail by 7. Handoff, keeper to Nicholas King. Springs out of the tackle, 20. Stiff arm to the 15 and crawls his way to right near the first down make, which is the 15-yard line. They'll call that one about inches short. We mentioned the last time they reached the red zone, Nicholas King he was able to run for 20 yards. That time 10 and near a first. 3rd down and inches here as Tom Avena sprints off at the last second. Isaac Whitney to the left-hand side. 1 catch for 1 yard out of the UCLA offer for him. King rolls right. He'll take it himself and dives to the first down. He's got it. Out to the 15. We'll check the penalty, though. Reaching for the chalk was the quarterback out of Westchester, and it looks like the penalty will indeed be against the Mount SAC Mounties. We will check the infraction here. 6 penalties by Riverside and 3 for the Mounties. Yes, that will be against Mount SAC.
And like we've said all game, when this team gets into the red zone, you could count that as points, at least 3.
Boy, an extremely long time to check this penalty. I've been extremely frustrated by the referees. Holding against the defense, I would accept the penalty as that would be an automatic first, and indeed they will. So that'll mark the ball inside the Mountie 15 down to the 9. They'll make it the 7. The 8. Cool. 13:19 to go. Tigers, they trail by 7. This drive started off of the Tremel Davis kick return at the Mountie 25. And knocking on the door is Nicholas King, looking for their first touchdown today on the offensive end. Clock keeps moving. Play clock down to 14. Jermel Walker, he's pushed out to the right-hand side. An empty set, 4 wide receivers, and Pome's the tight end. Sack, they bring 6. King in trouble. He'll take it himself on a hop inside the 10, and he'll hurdle his way down to around the 8, maybe 7. 12:52 to go here, Dan. And the Tigers still trail, but knocking on the door here with a 2nd and 8 from the 8.
Mount SAC on that last play, sending in some heat, getting to Nicholas King. Nicholas King right there not having any option. Great play by the defensive backs of the Mounties. Let's see if he could organize and orchestrate some type of a scoring drive right here.
Nicholas King is 8 of 18 passing for only 27 yards here. That was in the first half. His longest pass of the day, Dan, 9 yards.
Boy, he's got to improve on that.
8 yards away from a touchdown. Crowd asking for its defense. Pass rush coming. King wings it to the end zone, but too short, intended for a man that we have not called very much outside of his woes catching the football, Isaac Whitney, and he didn't really have a chance. 3rd and 8.
Isaac Whitney struggling tonight. Only 1 catch for 1 yard. This Isaac Whitney character needs to spring up somehow, some way tonight.
Whitney is 101 against a very impressive cornerback in Taekwon Glass. Mounties tied to the line. King calling signals, 13 seconds to go on the play clock, 12-13 to go in the third. SAC brings the blitz, but a flag is down. That'll be offsides, against the Mounties. Penalty number 5 for them and second here on this drive. False start.
Boy.
They would have been offsides if the offensive line was, they didn't get caught with their hand in the proverbial cookie jar there on that penalty. 3rd and 13, though, from the goal line. Tigers looking for the game-tying score. Shotgun snap, swings it out to Foster to the 10. Zigzags to the 5, reaching for the pylon. He'll be short as it looks like he stepped out of bounds at around the 4. Denzel Foster, he has 3 receiving touchdowns this season, looking for a 4th, and the Tigers have to settle for a field goal.
Boy, Denzel Foster was just 5 yards away from diving into the end zone, but gets stopped right there. Man, although he's not getting involved in the run game, they've got to get him involved somehow, electing to pass to him.
Ramirez with the snap, hold by Matthew Moore in the tight end. Jimmy Camacho, 8 of 11 on field goals this season. We have Junior Pome rushing onto the field late. Play clock down to 4, down to 3. Snap, ball down, kick to make it a 4-point game is good. Jimmy Camacho right down Broadway. 2 for 2 are the Tigers on field goals, and it's not the score that we wanted here, Dan, but still a 4-point ball game. Tigers down 17-13.
You try not to walk away disappointed despite getting 3 points, but it's hard not to be disappointed. I mean, you ended up with great field position to start off the second half, and to come away with only 3 points, it kind of stings a little.
And what's really disappointing is that, Dan, they were 5 yards away from the touchdown.
Right.
That false start was 5 yards back in their own end. It's been 2 straight times that these very uncalled for penalties. Of course, it's never called for, but just at the worst timing.
7 penalties for 39 yards. It doesn't translate into a lot, but again, it's when they occur.
That has really been the difference, is they could very easily be up 21-17, but instead they trail by 4. Jimmy Camacho, who's been 2 for 2 on field goals, also has banged through a couple touchbacks. He tees it up, and we're just about ready to commence kickoff. 11:40 to go. Tigers trail 17-13. Again, thank you for joining us here on the National Sports Radio Station, also on livestream.com. Sends it sailing down the far sideline. There goes Vaughns from his own goal line, out to the 5, 10, convoy to the 20, bust loose to the 30. He has room to run, and he's tripped up at the 45-yard line. The special teams has been masterful for both ball clubs. That Tigers defense has got to, Dan, for Riverside, make a stop here.
They do, and it's going to have to be done with the ability to stop the passing of the Mounties. Right now, Justin Allo, 11 of 23 for an impressive 2 touchdowns despite the 2 interceptions he's thrown.
What's amazing is that Aaron Vaughns has averaged 40 yards per kick return. Meanwhile, our Tremel Davis is averaging 51 yards per kick return. The special teams has been masterful for both of these ball clubs, a situation we did not expect as Omaris Tolbert runs for a gain of 5. Tackle made by Thaddeus Legron. 2nd and short right of midfield.
Tolbert currently at 68 yards in this game, and looks like he just might eclipse the 100-yard mark tonight.
Well, he's averaging 14 carries per game.
Boy.
He's not a man who's been involved, but in tonight's ball game, already with 16 attempts, and we're barely into the third. He has been the game plan, the blueprint, per se, for the Mounties to try and win this ball game. They've dominated the line of scrimmage, and here in the trenches, they are pushing the Tigers back. 2nd and 5. Shotgun snap. Allo looking left, swings it out near side, caught by Hill, and he'll scurry to the first down, but will be just about a couple inches short. 3rd and short, and Dan, what's the play call here if you're the Mounties, where running and passing has really been effective against that stalwart Tigers defense?
Well, since you've got Tolbert out there, I say you go to him. I mean, he's the type of guy who can lower it down his shoulder and get you just a yard.
Well, Vaughns is in for Tolbert. He'll dot the I. 3rd and 1. Handoff goes to Aaron Vaughns, and he's blown up at the 46-yard line. 4th down and 1. That's a stop by the Tigers defensively.
That's exactly what you want to see. Hard hits on a 3rd and short right there. Stopping them big time. Let's see if they elect to punt now.
No, they'll go for it. The
big
offense is down the field. Tackle made by A.J. Hotchkiss. He blows him up in the backfield. That'll be tackle number 9 for the freshman. False start by the offense. That'll end it. Great job by the Riverside Tigers in the third. On 3rd and 1, knocking on the door. They've been around 50% on third downs here in the first half. Sent on the punting unit. That'll be a 3-and-out by the Mounties.
Just when the Mounties were on the verge of getting their 17th first